Hello. Um, this morning, I believe it's been placed in my heart that I need to share my story. Actually, I've been doing a Bible plan on the Bible app called My Story, and what it encourages people to do is to share their story, and it also speaks of the importance. Um, your story can have, or the importance and the impact your story can have on others. And that really resonated with me because it's the stories of others and their life experiences that usually serves as an encouragement for me. And what I was challenged by in this situation is that what the Lord spoke to me was, as much as I liked hearing others' life experiences and stories about how they came to know God and came to serve God, I hadn't really shared my story. And so, yes, this is my first attempt at it. Um, my story of coming to know God started as a child growing up in a devout Methodist family. My mom was a woman of faith, and I believe that the 10 years I had her with me, she instilled in me a deep love and respect for not only prayer but for God. And as much as throughout my life, I strayed away from living the life that God, I believe, intended for me, I always had that deep rooted love, I think, from a very young age, and respect for the power of prayer, but also God's power in my life. Growing up, I lost my parents, both my parents, at a young age, and I was brought up by family, my brothers, my aunt, um, and a lot of people played pivotal roles in my journey of life, and of showing me in whatever way they did God's love. I think growing up without parents really impacted me in that, I always felt this sense of, I didn't feel a sense of belonging. Like, I was always yearning to please others. I was always needing the validation of others. I was always, trying to chase that high that I thought would give me the fulfillment, the peace, the joy. And that included, chasing after boys, chasing after parties, friendships, um, drinking, and everything that was, not really what I should have been chasing. And um, that was in my young adult life. And what I found was, whilst I was in that process of doing that, I, there was always this still voice telling me that, Farmer, you don't have to do that. That's not what life should be about. Yet, I always justified stifling that still voice or that silent voice by saying, oh, I've got so much life left yet to live. I will, when I grow up, I will serve God, and I will listen, I will read my Bible, and I will pay more attention to Him. But at the moment, there's just so much life left to live, and that can wait. So that's how I justified my not hearing God's call in my life. And then, He blessed me with a God by sending me a God-fearing man as my husband. And what my husband represented, I think, as anyone who knows him and I, he was the polar opposite of me. And I, in hindsight now, and I look at how God works in my life, my husband was just what I needed. That he was everything God was trying to show me, that I didn't need to please people, because my husband is a very private person. He's quite content with just being him. He also is a quiet person, and it showed me that I didn't need to always have an opinion on things. So I didn't always need to talk or say things when there wasn't really cause for that. And he also showed me the importance of being content, and being thankful for the what I had, and that I didn't always have to chase after people or chase after things that, or material things at least, that that wouldn't bring me any satisfaction. So that's sort of the roller coaster that of a kind of life that I lived for the better part of my life, 37 years so far, was that chasing, the next high, chasing people's validation, chasing affirmation from others, chasing materialism, thinking that, by getting the next big job, landing a next big job, or getting the next big whatever it is, would satisfy me. But what I found was that it just left me with this emptiness, with this sense of unfulfillment that, that increased the more I tried to pursue these things. And it was like I didn't know what I was chasing for or chasing after, because none of what I was chasing was giving me what I wanted. And then one day in 2017, I was sat on my couch, and directly opposite my couch is my TV stand, which also serves as a book stand, and under that was my Bible that was really, really dusty. And I just heard the voice of the Lord so clear in my mind saying, Farma, why is your Bible so unused that it's dusty? And that, it really convicted me. It really touched me. But like every other moment in my life, I yet again tried to stifle it. I yet again tried to ignore it. And so I thought, what? Yes, I've heard it. And I tried to disguise the fact that I'd heard it by, getting on with other things. Until I reached the moment in my life in 2017 where I felt that, everything had failed me. My relationships, my career, my, the challenges that I was pursuing, whatever it was, it just was not, doing it for me anymore. And I remember so vividly, like sitting in my room and just taking it all to God and saying, Lord, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep chasing this empty life, because I couldn't speak to my husband about it because I felt like he didn't understand me. I couldn't speak or reach out to any of the relationships in my life because I just didn't think that anyone could understand me. And I think when I look back on it now, it's not that they wouldn't understand me. It's just that they weren't the people that I needed to go to, and they weren't the people who could give me the answer. And I think that's why the Lord had to get me to that place for me to realize that He was the only one that I needed, and He was the only place that I needed to reach out to. And that's what I did. I broke down and I just said, Lord, I'm done. I'm done chasing after this world, and I need you. And that's what I did. I invited Him into my life. And the only way I can describe the moment of me, on my knees, crying out to God, is I just felt this sense of peace that I'd never felt before. It was like, I always describe this to those that I share my story with as if I was coming home, and everything made sense to me at that point. Everything that I've been through, everything that led up to that moment finally made sense to me, and I could see God's provision and protection over me through my life, which I was so clouded by my own sense of self that I couldn't see it, and finally He made it clear for me at that day. And I think that's all He needed me to do, was to turn to Him. And my family and friends, all I can say is I've not regretted a single moment of that decision I took to pick up my cross and follow God. You know, as much as you may lose friendships, as much as you may lose the things of this world, but the things that you have to gain is so much more. You know, you gain God and you gain his love and his faithfulness, and I have seen that in my life. I've experienced his goodness. I've tasted and seen how good this God of ours is, and I just want to encourage you to join me on this journey because you will never regret it, you know. And one thing that really encourages me is, or one verse that really encouraged me is Jeremiah 29:13. You know, if you look for me wholeheartedly, you will find me. And man, did I find him. And you know, the other thing that I realized is when he finds you, he brings you and yanks you out of your comfort zone so much that, you know, that it's, you know, when you meet God, or when you know, in that relationship with him, don't expect him to keep you in your comfort zone. He will yank you out of your comfort zone so much that you know, you won't even recognize yourself anymore. And that's what he did and continues to do in my life. You know, he calls me to things that I think, Lord, I simply couldn't do that. And I think what I'm beginning to realize is he does that because of that, because of the fact that we couldn't physically achieve that on our own. He does that so that glory alone is brought to his name because of what he can achieve through us. And that's the beauty of serving this God that we serve, you know, that he is able to achieve remarkably more than you and I can ever perceive or even think about. And that's what I'm slowly beginning to uncover through my service of this God, that there's never a moment that I'm, um this the me pursuing this relationship out of all the relationships in my life has been one that I've pursued and have come away deeply spiritually and emotionally fulfilled. And you know, that's the encouragement I have for you, is pursue it, you know, hunger for it, go after it, run after it, and you will see, you know, just how much fulfillment and the sense of peace that you will get from this God.